Well, I want to welcome everybody to the Introduction to Residential Zero-Step Accessibility, our first this year of our monthly free webinar series. This course is brought to you by the Green Home Institute, who is a USGVC education provider, and we are formally from under the name the Alliance for Environmental Sustainability. The Green Home Institute was founded in 2000 as a nonprofit. We exist to empower people to make healthier and more sustainable choices in the renovation and construction of the places we live. I'll be your moderator today. My name is Brett Little, and I'm the executive director here at the Green Home Institute. Well, so let's get into why we are here today, the introduction to the Residential Zero-Step Accessibility Program. And one question that I kind of want to just throw out there as you listen to this session, as you think through, maybe coming from the green building world and thinking about the triple bottom line holistically. And the question I just want to pose are non-accessible homes green? And that's something I'd like to have you hold on to as we go through this session today. With me today are Joanne Feitz, a registered occupational therapist, and Renee Thompson, a certified occupational therapy assistant with Disability Advocates of Kent County, right here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. The Disability Advocates of Kent County, a federally registered center for independent living. The organization serves people with disabilities with both direct consumer services and advocacy for systems change in order to achieve equal access for all. Disability Advocates is one of the 12 centers for independent living in Michigan, and there are over 400 nationwide. Both Joanne and Renee are certified aging in place specialists through the National Association of Home Builders. As chairpersons of the Universal Design Committee and Community Service Committee of the Home Builders Association in Greater Grand Rapids, they are active in networking and promoting universal design in home and building and remodeling. Joanne and Renee also possess extensive experience in occupational therapy. Occupational therapists consult with designers, builders to incorporate universal design features in new homes and work with individual homeowners to provide home evaluation, education recommendations, and training. Through education and training, they both became AARP Home Fit trainers and provide outreach and instruction to seniors who want to age in place or who are thinking about building that accessible and aging in place type retirement home. Joanne and Renee will be leading us through most of the content today, and so as we're going through all your questions into the Q&A, I will be moderating, and with that, I will hand it off to them. Thank you.
When it comes to designing and building new homes or remodeling existing homes, occupational therapists are a valuable member of the team with the homeowner, designer, architect, and builder. Occupational therapy practitioners recognize how the environment affects and enables the ability to perform daily activities. Occupational therapists play a key role in evaluating the environment for barriers and identifying strategies that enable individuals to modify their homes or plan for a new home. Certified aging in place specialists have been taught the strategies and techniques for designing and building aesthetically pleasing, barrier-free living environments. The CAPS program goes beyond design to address the codes and standards, common remodeling projects and their cost, product ideas and resources needed to provide comprehensive and practical aging in place solutions. As AARP HomeFit program trainers, we assist individuals to remain safely in their own home as they age. The 2-hour HomeFit program leads participants through the process of thinking about each area of their current home in terms of whether it will meet their needs as they age from the viewpoint of accessibility and livability. Our therapy staff has been providing comprehensive occupational therapy home assessments to the Greater Grand Rapids, Michigan area for more than 20 years. We added universal design consultations with our ZeroStep program in 2005. Today we'll explain the history and reason for ZeroStep guidelines. Topics will include the reason and background for the development of the guidelines, its relationship to other design standards, the benefits, what is contained in the comprehensive zero-step guidelines, the version 2 updates and what they will include, the rollout in Michigan and beyond. As we go through this, it would be beneficial to jot down your questions to leave for the end so we can ensure going through the content. To us, zero-step makes perfect sense. For others, it may be a new concept. We've built buildings with expansive front porches and accepted that design, and we want to shake that paradigm up a bit. Well, actually, quite a bit. We want to take an evolutionary step to home design. We are all about welcoming entries with no entry steps, or zero steps, completely eliminating barriers in the home. Let's talk a few minutes about the history, logic, and our approach to the development of the zero-step guidelines. Zero-step was developed in response to consumer demand. We responded to the needs of people with disabilities in our community and created our zero-step guidelines as voluntary standards for building a universally designed home. We saw the national building standards as a good starting point, but not necessarily the ending point in design. Zero-step is targeted as a new approach for homes because the Americans with Disability Act, the ADA, does not cover private residential housing and focuses instead on workplace and public or commercial buildings. The national and state building codes provide only minimum requirements to accommodate accessibility and do not exceed into single-family residential construction. Let's talk more about zero-step and disability advocates and why universal design is so important. Renee?
As Brett mentioned before, Disability Advocates of Kent County is a center for independent living, one of 12 in Michigan and over 400 in the nation. We changed our name in 2002 to more accurately describe our work and role in the community. Our mission is to advocate and facilitate action by persons with disabilities and the community to achieve equal access for all. Disability Advocates strives to reduce and/or eliminate barriers to independent living, with a focus on systems change through community education and development of community resources. We also use a person-centered approach when working with individuals whose goal is independent living. One of our goals is to create awareness about the benefits of zero-step in residential housing. This came about because in many situations, current housing construction practices do not plan for aging in place, require increased need for costly renovations, homes are not located near walkable communities or transportation, homes don't adapt to changing needs, abilities, and ages, homes can be unsafe and unhealthy with barriers, and homes do not adapt easily for people with disabilities or chronic conditions so that they can remain in their own homes. Our goal is to be a one-stop resource for all home design and home modification needs that will assist individuals and families to acquire homes that are universally designed. For these reasons, zero-step was created. So a bit of history on the guidelines. As Joanne mentioned, zero-step was a response to a consumer need. Reflecting on one of our board members' needs for a how-to guide for a universally designed home, our executive director, the board member, and Joanne and I, and an interior designer researched codes, trends, and consumer needs and developed the zero-step guidelines. Zero-step has been promoted throughout Michigan. The response has been positive, with more homes being built using zero-step, more builders becoming certified aging in place specialists, and more home products and fixtures universally designed and readily available. The fact is, people's needs are changing and housing needs are changing. Population trends and lifestyle choices are all changing, especially for the fast-growing baby boomers who are empty nesters or our grandparents who want a home that can be versatile and meet their busy and varied lifestyles. Parents with young children want a home that is safe, promotes independence, and has features that grow with their family. Seniors looking for a retirement home to age in place want convenience, ease of use, and safety with features that will provide caregiving options if needed. The good news is there are now LEED credits for universal design features. This reduces the need for an extent of future renovation of the home, including avoided use of construction material and construction waste, so that homes can enable aging in place and be usable by people of diverse abilities. ZeroStep homes provide people with choices in living environments, as it allows people the choice to stay in their own homes as they age and as life changes occur. The space requirements allow for changes in function, use in products or fixtures without ever moving an interior or exterior wall, because as you know, this can be the most expensive part of remodeling. The ZeroStep guidelines can lead the user through the decision-making process of designing a home for a lifetime. As an example, one of the ZeroStep guidelines requires 2 ZeroStep entries at every home, which increases safety, inclusiveness, and increased ease and function for everyone. For people who are remodeling an existing home, the ZeroStep guidelines offer examples of products, features, and dimensions for functional space. An occupational therapist with similar experience can provide an individualized home evaluation and help the resident develop a plan for modifications and/or home equipment. The other goal is related to builders. ZeroStep is a guide for builders, designers, and developers. ZeroStep provides diagrams and specific dimensions that are helpful in showing examples of design of space in rooms that are functional. It is important to note that these guidelines are voluntary and are not mandatory criteria applied to housing design, which meet or exceed Michigan residential codes. While we are located in Michigan and our supporters, designers and builders alike, are local, we have been recognized nationally as well. ZeroStep guidelines have been reviewed by the Michigan Bureau of Construction Codes, as well as the Michigan Association of Home Builders. They've been endorsed by Habitat for Humanity of Michigan, and our local Habitat in this county has submitted 5 house plans for ZeroStep certification. Community Economic Development Association of Michigan, or CEDAM, has also approved these ZeroStep guidelines, as well as the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. AARP supports ZeroStep guidelines as a viable solution to aging in place. The Home Building Association of Greater Grand Rapids features universal design homes in their Parade of Homes event every spring and fall. And the City of Grand Rapids has included ZeroStep in their HUD Neighborhood Revitalization Plan. We see ZeroStep as an important component of sustainability, creating value for homeowners, builders, and the community. As lead APs, designers, and developers, you know the definition of sustainability, which is meet the need of the present without compromising the ability to meet the needs of the future. And of course, this includes looking at how we manage our land and save our natural resources. For the clients with whom you work that want to ensure they approach their build with a sustainable perspective, the ZeroStep guidelines fit into each one of the legs of the triple bottom line. Environmental. There's less wasted materials due to remodeling, less wasted material going into landfills, greater energy efficiency, homes are easy to operate and maintain, and they meet the needs of the present as well as future generations. Economic. They're less expensive to build it right at the onset than remodel later. 100% market share if you plan to move. No forced need to move. Saved energy and operating expenses. The social equity piece, marketable and usable by all people, welcoming to all people, social and community inclusion, increased freedom of choice, and allows for living the American dream. To help place ZeroStep within the framework of other design standards, Joanne will go through the relationships.
As you know, the concept of universal design is also called inclusive design or lifetime design. The message is the same. If it works for people across the spectrum of all ages and functional abilities, it works better for everyone. A good example is a zero-step entry. It works for baby strollers, moving dollies, wheelchairs, and everyone. It doesn't matter what you put inside a home if you can't get into it someday. This does not mean that universal design is about one size fits all. Instead, it is the design concept that designs to accommodate people's differences, not their similarities. A good example here is multiple height workstations in the kitchens for standing and seated use or multiple users. These attributes can work good for one person as well as a family or a small group. Steve Jobs once said, "Design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works." Universal design makes life's daily activities possible for some and easier for many. So how does ZeroStep fit in with other standards? This graphic illustrates the relationship to other standards. To help define this perspective, we've provided the following definitions. Some of the features of visitable homes include a zero or no-step entrance, accessible hallways, and half bathroom on the main floor. The bathroom doorway is minimum 32 inches wide, and there's a 5-foot clear floor space for a person in a wheelchair to enter, use, and close the door behind them. Such features make a home visitable, but not livable to guests with a disability. Next is adaptable. Adaptable environments are constructed with options for some features to be adapted and modified easily to meet the changing needs of the user. Essential design elements such as wider doorways and barrier-free entrances are included as integral features. To meet the design criteria for adaptable, the change must be able to be made quickly without the use of extensive labor and without changing the inherent structure of the materials. An example could be bathroom walls that may be designed with additional reinforcements for the future installation of grab bars. Another example could be cabinets under the sinks can be designed to be removable, whereby space under the sinks are replaced for knee space for a wheelchair user. Also, closet rods and shelves are on adjustable height supports. Next is universal design. As you know, the concept of universal design is also called inclusive design or lifetime design. The message is the same. If it works for people across the spectrum of all ages and functional abilities, it works better for everyone. From our perspective, universally designed environments and products are usable by all people to the greatest extent possible without the need for adaptation or specialized design. This does not mean that universal design is about one size fits all. Instead, it is the design concept that accommodates people's differences, not their similarities. What is important are features that are designed to have equitable use, such as a zero-step main entrance, flexibility in use, such as a handheld shower on a slide bar, low physical effort, such as lever handles for doors or sink faucets, and the size and space for use, such as front controls on appliance. Key to remember that universal design is not reflected directly in the building codes. Universal design meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability to meet future needs. As you can see, ZeroStep guidelines are voluntary standards for building a universally designed home. As people's needs change, their home remains usable and family-friendly. ZeroStep design features reflect the functional use of the home for people of all ages and abilities. ZeroStep entries and 3-foot wide doors, clear floor space in all rooms with a 5-foot radius, as well as 4-foot approaches to fixtures and necessary living space all on one main floor. They meet or exceed ICC, ANSI codes, Fair Housing Guidelines, Michigan and International Residential Building Code. The understanding of the value of ZeroStep concepts has been crucial to changing how people view homes. Practical value is very evident, as we will show you next. Universal design and its principles were coined by the architect Ron Mace at North Carolina State University. Mr. Mace was an architect with a disability, and he used the term to describe the concept of designing all products and the built environment to be aesthetically pleasing and usable to the greatest extent possible by everyone, regardless of their age or ability. Today, universal design has progressed to features and products we all use, many of which are included in residential homes as well as public buildings. With universal design as the foundation for ZeroStep, we are able to address multiple areas. ZeroStep includes smart solutions. That includes ergonomics, technology, creative use of space, safety, progressive and innovative design, and comfort. As consumers become aware of these designs and features, the availability, prevalence, and demand will sure increase. The issue we continue to address is the lack of understanding in the housing industry to incorporate universal design into home plans. Accessible design is built to meet building standards, exact dimension for wheelchair accessibility, to accommodate people with disabilities for accessible housing in public places. These regulations and laws dictate standard dimension and features such as door width, wheelchair mobility, countertop heights for knee spaces under sinks and in kitchens, grab bars, switch and outlet height, and more. These apply primarily to commercial buildings or multiple housing units of 4 or more units under one roof. Next, Renee will talk about the benefits and values of ZeroStep.
This is an actual ZeroStep home in our area, and as you can see, the look of ZeroStep is attractive in appearance and creative in design. For the building industry, it is less costly to build ZeroStep new than to remodel later. Extensive renovations are more costly than ZeroStep features incorporated during initial construction. From a developer's or local planner's perspective, ZeroStep is a way to improve the housing supply and meet the needs of a changing population. Baby boomers are the fastest growing segment in our population and control most of our nation's wealth. They want a home that meets their needs for the long term. We would like to show you some additional examples. Starting with the return on the investment piece. Market value for resale is at the top of the list because anyone can live in a ZeroStep home, resulting in stabilized neighborhoods and broader appeal. ZeroStep homes allow people the choice to remain in their homes as they age through temporary or permanent disability or when unforeseen life changes occur. ZeroStep incorporates lots of safety features, thus decreasing falls and injury risks, all reducing housing costs and decreasing recovery time and healthcare costs. Regarding comfort in the basics of life, ZeroStep homes are welcoming and inclusive to all, resulting in greater socialization. ZeroStep features have more than one function or can be easily adapted later, so most renovations may be avoided. Being able to remain in one's own home through life stage changes is more psychologically supportive and cost-effective than being forced to move. A few months living longer in your own home quickly offsets the cost of a ZeroStep home when compared to a traditional long-term living choice. So where does ZeroStep start? ZeroStep begins with the outside, with considerations including grading the lot to ensure level driveways and walkways, ZeroStep at all entries with level or slightly beveled, less than 1/4 inch, thresholds at all doorways, no entry steps to shovel or trip over, and having wider entries and doors, which also aid in furniture and appliance moves. After arriving and entering, a ZeroStep house features design and access that work for everyone. Besides a ZeroStep entry at the front door, we recommend ZeroStep entries in the garage and at all exterior doors for access and ease. Convenient and easy for your suitcase and cooler on wheels. access to decks and/or backyards. It's all about access throughout the home and the yard, extending all livable spaces to a home's residents. In our research, there's nothing in Michigan Residential Code or ANSI, Fair Housing, or Michigan Building Code that states the need for a step or a gas curb in the garage. It only states that the floor shall be sloped to facilitate movement of liquids away from the door. A quick call to professional code inspectors, and I found, in his words, that it's just quote-unquote normal to have a step in the garage, but it's not required. So a gas curb is not required in the garage. Decks and outdoor entries are recommended to be zero-step and give easy access to outside areas. After all, who wants to miss the party on the deck? Wider hallways are less likely to be marred from moving furniture and thus require less maintenance. Recommendations include hallway minimums of 42 inches with 48 inches preferred, limited in length for efficient use of space. It's so much easier to carry things. We've all experienced carrying grocery bags, laundry, equipment, and furniture through narrow hallways and doorways. People can pass each other without backing up, and there's room to walk alongside someone if they need assistance. Functional areas such as the bathroom can be amazing. The importance of bathroom design cannot be understated. The plan requires considering the potential for a parent of a young child to provide easy care in the bathing process, as well as enough space to remove an existing bathtub to install a roll-in shower if ever needed for a senior or a person with a disability. Some of our recommendations include a 4-foot approach in front of the bathtub or shower to allow for a parent or caregiver to assist. A 5-foot clear floor space allows for use of mobility device, whether crutches for a temporary sprained ankle or a wheelchair after a leg surgery are needed. Some additional benefits include allowing more room for 2 people to get ready at once, no tub or shower lip to step over. ADA lever faucet handles are actually longer than the faucet, so they're easy to reach. And lever handles are easy to operate when hands are wet or soapy. We have some additional features to share as well. Grab bars now come in all shapes and sizes to fit any decor, and some even have integrated lighting. ZeroStep is family friendly. As an example, a handheld shower is adjustable for all heights, from children to adults. It can also be used sitting on a shower chair, and it can also be directed over a specific area for easy cleaning or bathing. Next is the kitchen. The kitchen is the hub of the home, and planning ahead is key to ensure the space works as users' needs change, for multiple generations working together and enjoying guests. ZeroStep is about providing the appropriate size and space for approaching and reaching something regardless of the user's size, posture, or mobility. Microwaves that children can reach and use for after-school snacks, dishwashers at a height that limit bending, and ZeroStep promotes an efficient work triangle in the kitchen. We have a few features to show you that anyone would want. This is a good example of variable work surface heights and usable floor space. Clear floor space is very important for multiple users, children needing assistance, or somebody using a mobility aid. Next are some convenient kitchen products. ZeroStep homes can feature products such as pot filler, faucets, or front controls on appliances. These features are readily available. And just one more. Pull-out shelves, full extension drawer slides, and self-closing slides are easy to use, help keep a kitchen organized, and are no longer custom features. Now on to the laundry room. For the laundry area, who wouldn't want less bending and lifting? The features indicated on the slide can work from a seated position, or machines can be elevated on platforms for standing. Front-loading washers and dryers with controls, soap dispensers, and lint remover in the front are common and convenient universal design features. Even children can help with tasks. Speaking of children, this picture is from my very own ZeroStep home. In addition to the benefits on the slide, there is the additional consideration of stacking closets from one floor to the next, thus allowing for a vertical shaft to add an elevator chute if ever needed. Some of the smaller details have big impact as well. This photo clearly illustrates the raised electrical outlet, so it's easier to reach from a wheelchair or with limited bending. The toggle light switch does not require strength or accurate hand coordination to operate. And who doesn't love a remote control? With products available to control just about everything, including the garage door, TV, lights, windows, fireplaces, and even air conditioners. For some people, a keyless entry is a convenience, but for some people, it's an absolute necessity. One local ZeroStep certified builder states, "As a professional builder, comfort and usability are important design elements in the homes I construct for my customers. Universal design provides both these benefits as well as homes that meet everyone's needs." The biggest misconception is that universal design is only for people with disabilities. As mentioned before, universal design makes life's daily activities possible for some and easier for many. Universal design features can add comfort and userability. Universal design homes look no different. They are not utilitarian or institutional, but instead have great curb appeal. They are in parade of homes, selected for Habitat for Humanity homes. They are single family and multifamily. They may be ranch style and even two-story. They are family friendly and promote aging in place. They can incorporate multi-generational use as well as plan for caregiving if needed sometime in the future. They are urban and rural. They can have high technology and energy efficiency. They are sustainable environmentally, economically, and socially equitable. A ZeroStep homeowner stated, "The first thing I said when I saw my ZeroStep house was, why didn't they think of this sooner? It just makes so much sense and it makes our lives so much easier. I can't imagine living in a traditionally designed home ever again." Next, we are going to highlight the contents of the ZeroStep guidelines. Joanne, will you take it from here?
Thanks, Renee. Rather than go through all the pages of the guidelines, we wanted to at least share the table of contents so you have a sense of what is covered. We just want to remind you that these guidelines are not mandatory or legislated codes. They are voluntary guidelines that meet or exceed the Michigan residential building codes. Each category within the guidelines contains prerequisite and optional credits. The prerequisites are required to become ZeroStep certified. ZeroStep will certify homes similar to Greenbuilt. Optional credits are lists of additional features that are not required. They elevate the value and function of the home to bronze, silver, or gold level. The next slides are the chapters within the guidelines. Here's a quick look at the ZeroStep guideline table of contents. The guidelines begin outside the home and work their way through the interior. Let the car and driveway do the work for inclines and slopes. Grade the site and walkways and pathways for level or minimum slopes. Include a level unloading zone for visitors. Remember, all entries, front door, garage, decks, and exterior doors can be ZeroStep, and ramps can be blended into the graded lot and landscape if needed. The important factor within the home is access to all spaces and features. Access to the entire house is achieved with 3-foot doors. Door sill thresholds that are flush or a 1/4-inch height beveled prevent trip hazard. Hallways at a 42-inch width minimum. Stairways a minimum of 36 inches, but 42 to 48 inches wide is preferred, with a straight run, and minimum 42-inch landings are recommended for future needs, such as a chair glide. Next, I will touch on the main living areas of the house. For instance, kitchens designed for multi-generations or multi-users, as kitchens have become the social hub of the home. Front control on appliances, side-hinged wall ovens, induction stove tops are all great products that are readily available now. In closets, adjustable height closet rods and shelves make getting ready for work so much quicker and easier. And regarding flooring, high friction or low pile floor coverings can be options. Starting with windows, windows at a height that a seated person can see outside and use are recommended. Window latches that are at sill level and extended length wands for mini blinds, and automated window openers are also options. Regarding lighting, overhead lighting switched at all entries to a room or hallway, and built-in task lighting at multiple workstations in the home, such as your desk, kitchen, bathroom mirror, laundry, and remote controls for lights. Switched or motion sensor lighting at entries and in hallways, as well as exterior walkways. Some electrical options include the electrical panel box reachable from sitting, rocker switches and large dial dimmer switches as options, electrical outlets 18 to 24 inch on center from the finished floor, and fourplex outlets on each side of the bed for multiple electrical devices. Related to technology, thermostats at a seated height or maximum of 54 inches above the floor, programmable or remote controls for heating and cooling systems, intercoms, T-loop transmitter systems, environmental control units, and many more technology features are options. At the end of the guidelines, the appendix contains a table that references ANSI, the Fair Housing Guidelines, Michigan's Construction Code, and the Michigan Residential Code to help you compare codes. The notes section explains why something is important. It's our professional knowledge and experience that helps you understand our logic. The ZeroStep guidelines have been used to certify residential housing in this area and the Midwest. Some of the ZeroStep certified home plans have been duplicated due to their popularity and marketability. Our ZeroStep Advisory Board reviewed and approved the ZeroStep guidelines. The board included architects, designers, builders, developers, realtors, and people with disabilities.
We want to change the system by building more responsibly so that we meet the needs of the present and the future without compromising the environment. We want to welcome a new era in housing design that is inclusive and sustainable. Our vision is that ZeroStep will become a model that can be duplicated in communities across the nation, illustrating for the general public this evolutionary step in sensible home design. We hope that consumer demand will change the housing marketplace.
We have updated the references to the most current edition of the building codes within the ZeroStep guidelines, as well as are in development of additional chapters. We will be tackling the technology chapter with assistance of experts around the country. The same with the environmental aspects. We are defining the content for a walkable community so that we can bridge the home to neighborhood. We will then create the in-depth trainings. Once the training is rolled out, we will have materials available for your consultation purposes, as well as certification procedures and materials. In the meantime, we will be entering the pilot phase. As we mentioned, we still have some work to do to finalize the manual and checklist, but that is coming soon. As we go through the pilot phase for an estimated period of 6 months, during which time we are looking for active collaborators to try out the results of using the guidelines. To do that, we are willing to do plan reviews and provide feedback during this period. We would very much like to have at least 5 new plan reviews during this time. After the first 6 months, we will consider extending the pilot based on feedback and development work. Of course, we will keep everyone informed of development and news. If you're interested, please send your details to me, Joanne Feitz, and we will discuss how to proceed for each situation. There are a few additional steps that will help you connect to this endeavor. These are some of the things that you can do, and some of the details will come from Brett in a minute. This slide shows how you can become involved. We can take a little time now for questions. Brett will facilitate the conversation and then provide additional details to wrap up.
So, yeah, one thing we're really excited about here at the Green Home Institute is one of our strengths having a network of these independent green raters, Green Star raters across the Midwest, as well as having a large partnership of folks who do what we do across the U.S. Who have those same types of networks. And they're really passionate people, and they're really good at doing inspections on new and existing homes in the areas of energy efficiency, health, water conservation, materials, and site and community impact. And we're really excited to just get those folks trained to sort of add this next component of zero-step accessibility into what they're already doing to do the on-site inspections and third-party oversight testing. And that's the other thing we're excited about is going out and doing trainings on zero-step accessibility across the Midwest, and then expanding this with our partners in the U.S. to have a robust accessibility program that the market recognizes and that people can use to build better, remodel better. We're taking one of our existing green program checklists, and we're going to embed the zero-step program into that. And so what you'll be able to do as a contractor or renovator or architect or city planner or anything, you'll be able to use this tool to generate scopes of work based on what you're trying to accomplish. There'll be a point structure assigned to it, just like ZeroStep is set up now, and it'll be able to generate a really nice detailed scope of work that you can hand out to subcontractors, or if you're a homeowner, you can really take control of your project with that scope of work generator. And then that way, there's no, everything's been done for you. You don't have to try to guess what to do for accessibility. It's all listed out in there, and then we'll work with you all to do the training and the plan reviews. So, if anybody has any questions, I don't see any yet, but we definitely want to open it up to Q&A. You can throw your question into the chat box. I could certainly even be willing to unmute you so you could ask Renee or Joanne a question directly. So feel free to put them in there. And I'm going to get this started here. I had a couple questions as we're going in. So one of the things that popped up, and as I've talked to a few builders about this whole two-step entry thing, and it sometimes being a little bit of a, if you will, barrier to the zero-step program. Tell us a little bit about that requirement. What if you're building a home and you really only want to do one step in the house entirely? What if you're remodeling? What's the thought there on the two-step entry that's zero-step piece?
One of the things about having two zero-step entries to get in and out of a home is that one for visitors and one for the primary user. We once worked with a couple who the builder built a zero-step entry at the front door. They never used the front door. They always used the garage. So there they were with the gas curb that they didn't need, but that was the door they used most often. So we want to make sure that zero-step homes are welcoming both to the primary user and to all visitors, and also just as a second emergency entrance. I have 2 or 3 emergency entrances in my home, but if I needed the zero-step entry, many homes just put in one, and that's why we require 2.
Is there a different strategy if the garage is detached? Oftentimes in green building, we recommend a detached garage, or quite honestly, no garage at all. How does that affect anything?
Not really. If the garage is detached, you still have to be able to get out of your car and into your home, so we would still require two entries, the primary entrance that the homeowner has designated, and then whatever entry can be used for visitors or as your emergency exit. So it's still good to have two zero-step entries.
And this is a question here coming from Sam Flannery, who is actually joining us on the call within West Michigan. And so you, depending on how you answer this specific question, could be very location related. But his question is, when looking at an existing home, where do we find a certified person to provide recommended improvements?
In our area, or in any area, I would always go to your local home building association and look for a certified aging in place specialist. That might be a first step, even if the person, depending on what their credentials are, might be on your team. There are several occupational therapists across the nation that do what we do, who will go into a home that's already built and provide recommendations to remove barriers and enable the person to use the home as easy as possible. So the Home Building Association and occupational therapists are some of our two go-to people that we look for. Don't know if that answers his question or not.
Well, and I got a yep, okay, great. Um, and feel free, everyone, put in a couple more questions. I do have another one here. Thinking about this widening of hallways and bathrooms, and then again trying to connect this back to what we do with greener homes, we're starting to see more of a movement towards smaller homes, or as I like to say, right-sized homes. People even retiring into much smaller homes. So how does this idea of reducing square footage to reduce energy use and materials stack up with also trying to expand things like hallways or bathrooms? How do those two work together, or do they oppose each other?
They really don't oppose each other. It all goes down to design and planning. Good design can provide some of those things like wider access to the bathroom and wider access to the hallway by even eliminating how the hallways are built. I know there's all kinds of books there about designing smart and small homes. Habitat homes are built with very restricted square footage and funding costs, and yet their homes can be zero-step homes. We've already certified 5 of them. So the square footage with good design can still be a zero-step home.
And kind of going along with that, what what have you seen out there in as far as the idea of building a very energy efficient home is to build up rather than across, and so that can lead to needing, obviously, reducing accessibility with stairs, or needing the use of an elevator, which can be very costly and energy intensive. What kind of strategies have you seen trying to meet the best of both worlds there? If somebody's in a city lot, needs to build 2 stories, and perhaps wants to avoid an elevator, I guess, what do you see there?
Well, one of the options, as we said, is a 2-story home in a zero-step home. As long as there's a bedroom and a bathroom on the main floor, you can have 3 or 4 bedrooms up if you want, a walkout basement, whatever you want. And even without the elevator, there are chair glides and other ways to get to a 2nd story, especially if you built the stairway wide enough, like we said, a 36-inch minimum, to install a chair glide and make it work for people who are just using the steps walking up. But you can still design a zero-step home with all the bedrooms up, a den up, whatever you want, as long as there's a bedroom and a bathroom on the main floor, or they're readily accessible with the use of a chair glide or something like that.
Thank you. Well, we still got 5 more minutes for questions here. Renee, Joanne, is there anything else that off the top of your head that you can think of that you would want to say?
We just want to say thank you to the building industry for, considering this design and including occupational therapists as part of the team. We definitely don't go at this alone. We don't swing the hammer and we don't do the design. We just talk about features and space use and function and talk about the here and now. One thing about these zero-step homes is that they are designed for today, tomorrow, and in the future, and for all ages. Renee's house is family friendly. Her children just love her zero-step house. Yet we often, associate zero-step houses with the baby boomers and aging in place. So it is for all ages, and it works for all people.
Well, I don't see any other questions here, so I certainly want to wrap up. For those of you looking for continuing education, I will be sending a certificate out with your name on it. If you need me to report to AIA, I'll send you some instructions there. This session has been recorded and will be emailed to you for your reference and made available at any time you'd like to. And you can also share it with any of your friends or colleagues who would also like to see it for no cost at all. So again, my name is Brett Little, and I am the Executive Director here at the Green Home Institute. And we're, again, very, very thankful for the time that Joanne and Renee and the Disability Advocates of Kent County, with their mission and passion of implementing accessibility practices into the residential design, construction, and remodeling. I wish everybody a great week, and thank you for joining in. Goodbye.